call to order and do a roll call for the Monday, 9 June Golf Commission regular meeting. Here.
Commissioner Johnson?
Here.
Commissioner Lawson, I'm sorry.
Here.
Vice Chairman Moore?
Here.
Commissioner Page?
Here.
Commissioner O'Connor? Here. Commissioner Ottenshot?
Here.
First order of business is review and approve of the minutes. Does anyone have any questions regarding those minutes? Have they all been read, and do you agree with them?
You want to do the Pledge of Allegiance?
Oh, yeah, let's do the Pledge of Allegiance. Let's have Brendan Page lead us in that.
Okay. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Brendan.
You're welcome.
All right, let's go back to the minutes. Do I have a motion to approve?
I motion.
And a second?
Yes.
We vote to approve the minutes.
Well, you gotta ask for discussion.
Oh.
Then take a vote.
Any discussion on the minutes?
And
No.
all in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? None. Call to the public? Do we have anybody? I wasn't given any forms that
Yeah,
said
there was
anybody.
nobody signed up.
Nobody signed in? Action items. Let's go to golf course master plan. Who will be presenting that, Alex?
My name's Alex. I'm the assistant superintendent of the golf course. I'm going to be filling in for Pat today. As far as the golf course master plan, we believe we've identified the funds within the fiscal year 26 budget to proceed with hiring an architect to help us with the golf course master plan. Multiple items will be considered that will include, but are not limited to, back to desert areas, the movement of greens 2 and 3, water conservation areas and dry wells, course layout, irrigation design. We would like to take the request to council with the support of the commission by vote.
Or say that again. What are we?
The golf course master plan to go forward with that, to be able to.
Is your mic on?
I don't think it is.
Hello?
Yeah. So what you're asking for is for us to approve it, for you to take it to the council.
Yes.
Any discussion regarding the master plan?
Yeah, my biggest question is what's the cost?
So the approximate cost is gonna be approximately $55,000. Anything over $50,000 does have to be approved.
It's capital, as a capital expense.
Yes.
Well, I guess why are we still trying to have like a master plan discussion on changing holes right now when the course still isn't anywhere near close to what we need it to be?
So in regards to that, it would benefit us in a couple different ways with like the back to desert areas if water conservation does really start to hit us. We would be able to identify those areas. And as far as irrigation design, that would help us really be able to hone in on the care for our turf, where we're lacking, where we need more.
Okay. How is this different than any of the like consults that have come in? Like what's the change to that?
That I am not 100% certain of. I can get back with you with that information at the next meeting.
I think that's my biggest objective. We already have the consultations and all those things, and now throwing more money into kind of the same thing is my biggest concern on that.
Yeah, I think we already kind of have a baseline on what needs to get done, or, you know, up 2 or 3 months ago when the first guy came and analyzed the course basically. And we're still in the process of doing all that. I don't think we need to throw another wrench into it and move forward with any kind of master plan or changing holes or you know, figuring, I mean, back to desert, I love, but I think you guys kind of already have picked out what you want to do, and, I mean, we can talk about it and throw it to the town. I don't think we need to pay anybody to come in and tell us, like, this is what we need to do. It's our course. We can kind of steer you in the right direction with the town, so.
Okay.
If you want to raise a motion to table that for further discussion prior to authorizing that to go to council,
Well, I think for me, I'd like to have a little bit more input and feedback. And so if Tina will step up, I would certainly like to have some of the thought process. I mean, we're coming into this, our second meeting, and obviously this has been a scheduled and or budgeted and or fiscally appropriated process. So can you shed some light on what they're asking us to support?
Thank you so much, Vice Chairman Moore. So yes, I can definitely shed some light. And to your point, absolutely, Chairman Lawson, that we have looked at turf and hired a turf consultant to look at our turf, but there are many other things that the golf course may need. Their irrigation system needs to be looked at. Are there other things that we need to be doing at the course? Revenue generating, changing in the priorities of capital projects, capital projects that we haven't even identified or maybe aren't even aware, comparing ourselves to other courses. That's what this consultant will do. As we were going through the budget work sessions, I also want to point out that the golf course was certainly a topic of interest for the city council. And instead of us coming to you or you even identifying piecemeal items that might need to be addressed, we'd like to attack it as a whole, and the council had shown some interest in looking at a master plan. Now, costs we're not sure of yet, right? We'll have to actually solicit the bids for that, and then ultimately, if the commission does recommend it to the council, take it to the council for final approval. But it was something that they were interested in, and so I believe as city staff wanted to bring it to you for consideration, and possibly discussion is what you would like to be considered or discussed in the master plan.
we were asked for our contact information for that.
Yeah.
Choban, is that who it is?
I think it's Chabin, Chabin, is that right? I think
Yes.
Chabin, okay.
Okay, is that the group that's doing the master plan?
So Chairman Dale, I have not spoken with the Parks and Recreation Department to know who they are looking at. I would certainly think that we would be soliciting multiple offers and not just identifying one specific one, but potentially they have done work for us in the past. And I know that we have been pleased with their work in the past as far as consultation work.
So then we presented them our contact information, but they may not even be in a situation yet to where they can ask to talk to us, correct?
So Chairman Dale, we have not procured this purchase. This is a recommendation from
Okay.
the commission to go to the council. The council hasn't approved the purchase yet. So at this point, maybe they're reaching out just to get information from you, but we have not even come close to identifying who that consultant is going to be.
Has anyone on the commission been contacted by them?
No.
Just an email to give an email or phone number.
Right, and that
which
came from Sherry.
I did not do.
Which we did, but I was under the impression it was time sensitive and that they were looking to contact us right away, so that's interesting.
So again, for clarification, all the staff is asking this commission to do is to approve the request for a master plan, scope of work, the number of bids or any of that stuff. Still, none of that has been even determined. All we're doing is simply saying we'd like to see a master plan for the golf course created, and this is the first step to potentially creating a master plan, correct?
Vice Chairman Moore, you are correct. We will take any recommendation from the commission to staff. If the recommendation is yes, then staff will start looking at different consultants and then ultimately take that to the council with your recommendation.
Okay.
Okay, with that new presented information, do you want to take a vote on that?
Well, I think we would open up for discussion amongst the commission guys, and then if there is, Chairman, I think then we would take that vote. I personally think that the first step for us to create a master plan would be to have somebody else look at it outside of the city's scope. For lack of a better presentation, sometimes it's harder to change direction when it's always going in the same direction. So I myself would believe it would be worth us doing, and it would be something I would certainly support. I don't know how everybody else feels.
As far as I feel the same as Commissioner Moore. I do agree with Commissioner Lawson, where I think that there's some things on that Alex talked about as far as, the desert areas. I think those were pretty well defined before, as we saw. So I don't know if that needs to be touched on as much as some of the other stuff in the master plan itself. But I definitely think that it needs to happen and kind of move in a direction. It's just I don't know if all the things that were touched on by Alex need to be addressed during that. But I would just support it as well.
It sounds to me, though, like they are soliciting input, at least Chabon is soliciting input, and we would have some say in the direction of which the master plan goes, correct?
Chairman Dale, thank you so much for the question. So certainly a scope of work, I would take by the conversation here that we would definitely want the commission's input on what that scope of work would look like. So, so I would definitely want to take that back to the Parks and Recreation Department.
It sounds to me like this is a request to merely get the ball rolling. From there, they can get in the contracting phase with collecting bids, doing the different things that you need to do, and then they would reach out to have us help them formulate a master plan for the golf course.
Chairman Dale, certainly the commission is going to be part of the stakeholders that are going to be involved in that master plan. It will not just be the Parks and Recreation Department or just city staff. We will have not just the commission, but also there will be the golf community itself that will be part of that master plan development.
Through surveys, other things like that.
Correct.
Excellent. Commissioners, anything?
No.
Okay with that? Now, is there a motion?
Get a motion to approve the master plan to be released?
I'll make that motion to support the plan.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
Aye.
The motion carries on majority. We need to have a discussion regarding meeting day, meeting time, meeting frequency. This is something I would add to that, as I said at the opening night, or the opening meeting we had. This is our commission. It needs to fit our needs. Every employee minus our council liaison and our workers, our salaried employees, they're gonna need to come to the meeting when they can come to the meeting. You guys are still working, some of you working out of town. We need to make this work for us. It has been as late as 5:30 in the afternoon. It has been as early as noon. Days of the week have varied based on holidays and different things that have come up, but I think we need to be very fluid, meeting to meeting of when we schedule that. And you guys need to be prepared as commission members to have your calendars in front of you and, knowing that we're gonna go out at whatever frequency we decide. And then that's when we're gonna hold that meeting, where it be monthly, bi-monthly, quarterly, whatever you decide upon. But we've got to have 4 bodies present for a quorum. Keep that in mind. Open the discussion on meeting day, time, and frequency.
Chairman Dale, I'll start. I put this on the agenda, requested to be placed on the agenda. Frankly, the time works for me. It's noon. I don't know how everybody else feels. Noon's fine for me. Monday is the obstacle for me. Obviously, for us, it's the first day of the work week, and for me, it's the busiest day that I have. And so I'll cut right to the chase. For me, Wednesday or Thursday works better. I don't mind leaving at noon. I also don't mind the schedule. If we believe that there's a need for us to have a special meeting, I believe we're permitted to do that as well as needed. So simply the request, I put it all on there, and I directed that through Mike, was to give us this option, because it's a full range we could discuss. But for me, the day of the week is specifically what I'm looking to have us consider potentially making a change to. And I would defer that over to the rest of the group to see which day works best for somebody, because maybe there's a Wednesday or Thursday that doesn't work for somebody, but Mondays are a challenge for me at a professional level. So.
Yeah, I'll second on that. Mondays and Fridays are harder for me just for going out of town doing stuff. A lot of people go out of town for a 3 or 4 day weekend, so I'm gonna be gone a lot more Mondays than I am a Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday. So I agree with that.
The frequency was added on there, and that kind of
Yeah.
surprised me.
Yeah, I put that on there just so it could be an all encompass
Okay.
in case
Yes.
anybody else had a concern about that, but
Where are you at on frequency?
I think that we have a schedule, and if there's something that we need to discuss, outside of that schedule, I think we could just request a special meeting, and I don't see that being an
Do
issue.
a separate session.
Yeah, do a separate session, but I wouldn't look to change the schedule or the time. If I had just simply put on there the day of the week, then that really handcuffs us to the time, in case one of the other 7 commission members had an issue with the time, or in case somebody else had an issue with the frequency. I put that on there because in the world that I come out of, it's hard to talk about things that might impact a decision without being able to talk about all the 360 of it all. And the 360 for us was the time, the length, and the frequency, so.
So we can come to agreement on frequency staying every other month.
I'm okay with
I
that.
think for now, yeah. Kind of see how it plays
And
out.
we could come to agreement that the meeting moved to Tuesday?
For me, I think Wednesday works the best, kind of
Wednesday would be
in the
better.
middle of the week, at least for myself and like Pat said, for Wednesday or Thursday.
You guys that are working need to rule the day, so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like Wednesday personally.
Wednesday works.
The day of the week doesn't really matter to me. Later in the day works better for me because I work graveyard shift. Obviously, I can be here at noon, but I haven't slept yet. So if we can do like 3 in the afternoon, that would be better for me personally. But the world doesn't revolve around Brendan, so
That's fine with
whatever
me,
we
but
decide is fine with me.
I don't have an issue with that.
Time works for me on Wednesday at 3.
That is
Fine.
fine with me.
All right,
We gotta vote it in.
let's get city's input.
Chairman Dale, Vice Chairman Moore, what I'm hearing is Wednesdays at 3, still keeping it every other month. The only thing that we would need to double check is I know that the P and Z has meetings on Wednesday evenings, so we just would need to make sure that it doesn't conflict. But based on whatever motion you have, know that whatever is decided, we will need to make sure there isn't another commission that conflicts with that.
Well, that was my next question is, what's the availability of the room?
So I don't have that in front of me. Not that I can't get that information, but I do think Wednesdays at 3. I'm going to actually look to Vice Mayor Samily real fast. She knows when the P&Z commissions are.
I'm looking at the planning and zoning meeting. It's scheduled for June 11th at 5:30, it says here.
So it is the same Wednesday, so that probably would not work.
Early
Not
is
at
fine.
3. You could do it earlier than that, but not at 3 o'clock.
2?
Two work?
If we did a couple of
Well,
hours,
that's, how much time do you think we need?
I think 2's perfect.
I was gonna say that gives us a reason to adjourn, right?
Keep it at 3.
If they meet at 5:30, we could meet at like 5:15.
Roll call, pledge, and we're out.
I think 2 will be fine, and I'm assuming we could make a motion and adopt, and if there's a conflict, then we could leave it at noon. If for some reason, if the city manager or the council believe that that's kind of too close, and we could look through that, or we could put it back and move it to Thursday.
Brendan, how about if we compromise that, say 1?
That's fine.
Says the guy that's been up all night.
What?
Any other thoughts? Do I have a motion to move the meeting every other month, Wednesday at 1 o'clock?
I'll make the motion, Chairman Dale, to retain the original published calendar of meeting days, moving it from Monday to Wednesday, moving the time from noon to 1 o'clock.
Do I have a
I
second?
second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed. Surbat Cliffs Golf Course Financial Report. That'll be presented by Financial Director Moline, correct?
correct, thank you, Commissioner, Chairman Dale.
I don't know if the notice on you for doing this was short, but we sure appreciate you doing this for us. There are propensities for rumors at Surbat Cliffs regarding finances, and I think that we can be good missionaries to your message if we can get some answers going back of, that's just not true. We didn't pay for the lizard. You know where I'm coming from?
I do. Thank you so much, Chairman Dale. Appreciate that. And I did have ample notice for certain. So let me get this out of the way. Joel, are you hearing me? You want to get that out of the way? Perfect. Okay. So I appreciate the opportunity to be able to share a little bit about the financial overview of the golf course. Just going to share a few slides and a little bit of information and give you the opportunity to ask any sort of questions that you might have as we go through that. So I thought I would start simple and talk a little bit about the department's structure as a whole, because we talk about the golf course, but the golf course falls under the Parks Department. So it is a division of the Parks Department. Mike Mearsman is the director of the entire department, and we have parks, recreation, pools, and the golf course that fall under the Parks and Recreation Department. So with that, there are 4 different divisions with 4 different varying budgets that are tracked separately. So we have our parks, our recreation, our pools, and our golf course that we track revenues for separately, and we track expenses separately. So sometimes there is the question about, are all parks and recreation are all parks and recreation expenses being paid for by the golf course? And no, we track everything separately and make sure that we know which revenues are going to which division. So you'll see here the bright blue line on the chart are the revenues. And if we scroll all the way to the right, you'll see that is where the golf course is. So currently the golf course, or for fiscal year 25, we are expecting to collect about $1.3 million in revenues and spend about $1.9 million in expenses, leaving a deficit of about $600,000. So with that, we definitely have to offset those expenses somehow or supplement those expenses somehow. And we do that through the use of sales tax and state shared revenues primarily. So the golf course is contained within the general fund. And in the general fund, the primary revenue sources for the general fund are sales tax and state shared revenues, as you'll see on this chart. There are many divisions that are funded in the general fund and that rely on this funding source. We've got public safety, we've got all of the city administration, so finance, city manager, city attorney. We have the golf course and all of the other parks and recreation, and we have economic development and our building department. So again, many of these divisions, most of them do not make any money or generate any income, and they rely on state shared revenues and sales taxes. And so does the golf course. So that deficit is made up by those funding sources. So the next slide, there's a lot of information in this slide, and I am not going to cover it with you, but I wanted to share with you some history of where we have been with the golf course. So the top part of the chart are all of the revenues since fiscal year 19. Now I say fiscal year because the city operates on a July to June year basis. We are not January to December like many of the organizations are. We are July to June. And I started with fiscal year 19 because that is the first year that the city began operating the pro shop and the grill, not just the field operations. So I started with fiscal year 19. We see what the revenues are. We see what the expenses are is the second part of that table. And the very last line is the surplus or the deficit of the golf course. And definitely, at least since the city has been overseeing the operations, you're going to see that there has been a deficit at the golf course. But I can also share with you, and it was too much information to put on here, but prior to the city assuming the operations, we had a third party overseeing the pro shop and the grill. And going back to at least fiscal year 11, this was information that was shared with the city council recently, we were also operating at a deficit of a couple $100,000 too. So I don't want to say that the golf course has never made money. I don't know. Prior to fiscal year 11, I haven't dug into that. But I know since fiscal year 11, at least, the golf course has not been able to pay for itself, meaning that it's utilizing sales tax and state shared revenues to help support it. I also want to talk a little bit about the golf course water. So certainly the golf course, the whole parks and golf course utilize a lot of water. And while water users or our water rates actually absorb the cost of the water, so the golf course does not pay for its own water, so it's not included in those numbers on that prior slide. Water users pay for all city water. I wanted to share with you the cost of water, and if we were to include that in the cost of the golf course, certainly that is going to increase the course as well. And this just gives you some history on the usage in millions of gallons, and then also the cost of what that water is. Lastly, I want to cover capital projects. So normally, any of the big purchases like lawn mowers, anything at the driving range. Right now, we're doing a big driving range netting project. Many times, those projects are not funded by the operating budget. So in those numbers that you saw in that earlier slide, they're actually funded through other funding sources and through a different fund entirely. So bed tax dollars, cash reserve, construction sales tax, all sorts of different revenues. And I just wanted to point that out because there are projects that are not on the expenses that I shared with you earlier that are happening at the golf course that other monies are dedicated to that. So again, the golf course cannot support itself for everything. For instance, there's a big driving range netting replacement project that's taking place and that has taken place over the last couple of years that's $400,000, and that's coming out of this pot of money, not the golf course money. So with that, I want to say thank you and certainly entertain any questions that the commission might have.
How is that, going right back to the netting question, how is that, who's making the determination of what pot of money that comes out of? Is that you?
So thank you for your question, Chairman Dale. So City Council makes that final decision. Okay. Certainly city staff, the finance department and the city manager look at what we actually put together a 5-year projection or forecast and then determine what the general fund can absorb versus what our other funding sources can absorb and ultimately make that recommendation to the city council. And at that point, city council will either go with our recommendation or make any sort of modifications to it.
Give me a short explanation, please, of state-supported.
Absolutely. Thank you for your question.
State shared revenue.
Yes. So the state of Arizona collects all sorts of revenues, but they also collect sales tax, they collect income tax, and they collect gas tax. And so, and vehicle license tax also. So of those revenues, they actually share a portion of that with all of the cities and towns in the state of Arizona. City of Kingman is the beneficiary of one of those. So that's what state shared revenues are. It's a large chunk of our general funds revenues.
Excellent. Sidebar, and then I'll open this up. I just want to get these out of my way while I've got them written down. In your estimation, we were thinking about or looking at the golf course needed to be a complete independent entity financing everything, and from what you're saying, what I am hearing, it already is. It's under the Parks and Rec, but financially it is its own entity.
So Commissioner Dale, it's its own division, and it does utilize its own revenues for that. It also uses other revenues, right? So it doesn't support itself. And I think maybe where you're going is whether or not it's a business unit like our water fund and our solid waste fund. I'm not sure if that's the direction you're going as far as operating as a separate unit.
Where I'm going is, would it be beneficial to the golf course to break free of Parks and Rec and be its own entity?
So Commissioner Dale, that is not my decision to make. That is a decision that the city council will make. I can share that if we were to break it off, there would probably need to be some other sort of director level and some other management levels in there. So there would probably be a cost to that. That's what I can share on that.
Can it be brought up?
We can certainly talk about that during... Because there would be additional cost to that, that would be a budget question that we would want to share with the council when we talk about budget. Right now, can I ask what the purpose would be to move the golf course away from Parks and Recreation? Because currently, it's
the way that you presented this, you're making the argument that maybe that we wouldn't need to do that. the driver is the questions that I'm getting asked, and what they're asking me of the chair to do is let's get the golf course away from all of the other parks and rec. They're a drain on our budget. But the way that you're explaining it, we each have our pot of money. None of us are in the black. So that's what I'm saying. I don't know that there's a benefit to that. But I'm saying I would be open to that if there is a preconceived notion that golfers are funding pickleball or swimming pool chlorine, or that's the narrative we're fighting, right? You get that, you hear that. So I don't ride the trails, they don't golf, I don't want to fund them, they don't want to fund me.
And that's already happening. They're not
Okay.
funding each other.
That's the narrative we need to get out on every billboard in town that a part of the golfers say they paid for.
Well, I'll interject. I think sometimes we muddy this up by trying to blend two different ideas. One is we want to make the golf course an enterprise fund and run it like the water department, which you could have that discussion. That's a sole separate discussion. An enterprise fund means that it pays for itself and only pays for itself. I don't have any issue with that, but quite frankly, we already have the golf course set up to run like that without it calling the enterprise fund. So all you're really doing at that point is just doubling down and making it twofold. If you say you want to make it be revenue neutral, which is a different term, but it's the same outcome, then you can have that discussion. And I think that as a commission, our goal should be to make the golf course revenue neutral. And I agree with what you're saying. We hear this often. I hear it on both sides. Frankly, nothing in the parks generates enough money to pay for itself, whether it's the pool, whether it's the parks, whether it's the hiking trails. That's just the quality of life issue that we're looking for in the city of Kingman. So I think that you have to differentiate between whether you're going to try to lean on to make it an enterprise fund or whether you're going to lean on to make it revenue neutral, because while it's the same, it's two vastly different things. I don't have any issue with us saying let's make the golf course revenue neutral. When we start bringing that discussion up into play, then you're talking about rounds of golf played and what we charge for them versus what it costs to operate the course. And then when we have that discussion, people will become uncomfortable because I'll have some questions for you that you may or may not know, but like when was the last time we raised the rate at the golf course?
Yes, so the last time that we raised the rate of the golf course was in 2018.
Yeah, and if you look at where we were at when we talk about close to being revenue neutral, also coincided with the same time frame. And we have allowed ourselves to not raise the rate or stay competitive. And I have friends already that think I'm nuts because I talk about it, but the costs go up every year. We had double-digit COLA impacts on the city for the COLA and the steps. And I can assure you, when I look at this number, the personnel costs have gone up dramatically for the city. There are less employees at the golf course. And so people have to understand the hard costs go up. And if we don't maintain the cost of golf with the number of rounds, the rounds are pretty consistent. But I believe where it's lacking is in what we charge for those rounds and who we charge and how we charge. That's a whole nother conversation. But our goal should be to make the course be more revenue neutral on the city so that we don't have those people saying to us that it's a burden. Because when you really look at it, out of the entire park structure, the golf course generates by far and away the most amount of revenue for the city, whether you want to call it income or revenue or however you want to talk about it.
Whether we're still in a deficit or not.
Right, but those hard costs don't go away, and they continue to go up every year. So if we, as a commission, don't adjust the rate or suggest that the city council, we have two of them in here, adjust those rates, then all we do is make that deficit grow. And if you go back to your slides, it clearly shows that the deficit grows every year, right? The rounds of golf are staying consistent, but the rest of it grows. And so for us, I think that's a discussion we have to have as well, so.
But I'm also looking at what she's not showing us, and that is expenditures. So we're not having a say in the expenditures and where the money's going. So you can raise the rates to $99, and if you have someone in the position to show a propensity to spend $105, you're still not revenue negative, or revenue neutral.
Yeah,
right?
but that's.
So we need to she can show us money coming in, she can show us where it's coming in, the source of that. We also need to see money going out. For example, are fence slats the best purchase? So, we need to kind of look at both sides of that. in order to obtain that goal. He's on it with what we're trying to get to of, I guess we need to decide as a commission with your guidance, Keith's, others, the council, what do we want to do with that? Is it something to pursue to go to a golf course independent agency? Or are we close enough to that now that we can still reach revenue neutral in the format in which we're in? But at some point, I need to see expenditures I need to know where these monies are going, not just what we're bringing in.
So Chairman Dale, on this slide specifically to address your expenditures question, I do show the expenditures and how they are broken out. It might not have shown on the screen, but it is on that slide, the one that's up on the big screen right now. Yeah.
Actually, I have a question about the expenditures. Is all those expenditures on here, the personnel, supplies and services, everything, is that strictly going to Surbat Cliffs, or is it part of it commingled within the city of Kingman Parks and Rec Department as well?
Commissioner Lawson, everything on this slide is only the golf course. Again,
Okay.
golf course revenues and expenses are tracked separately, and that's what's being shown to you this afternoon.
I agree with what you're saying. What I'm saying is that needs to be broke down for me. I need to see what we're putting into carts, what we're putting into fuel, what we're putting into maintenance. We're getting a weekly activity report of 8 carts are in the shop. Okay. Air in the tires, oil changes, motor replacements. There's a mass difference in funds.
Okay, I appreciate that, Commissioner. I understand that now. As far as whether or not we want to break it off, I am just the deputy city manager and finance director for the city. I am not the city manager nor the city council, but to Vice Chairman Moore's comments, unless the golf course can pay for itself, there is no reason to break it off into an enterprise fund. Until it pays for itself, I will always recommend that we do not do that. An enterprise fund's purpose is to pay for itself. And if we do that, we are $600,000. We have a deficit of $600,000 plus the $400,000 netting project, plus anything else that doesn't flow through this particular revenue and expense report. And that means all of the golf rates would have to increase to cover that. And while I appreciate the revenue neutral aspect, I don't know that is something that we can do at this point.
In your history, you have not experienced that. We have not reached that.
That is correct.
I have a question about the personnel expenditures. Vice Chairman Moore mentioned it has pretty much doubled since fiscal year 19. What's the driving force behind that?
So I can share with you that thank you, Commissioner Lawson. Commissioner Page, sorry.
Yeah, we both
I am
red
very
hair,
sorry.
so, you know.
So I can share with you that in fiscal year 19, half of those costs, we only operated the golf course for half of that year. The contract with the third party was terminated in December of 2018, which is half the year. So those personnel costs are only for half of a year. As we move through that, you'll see that they increase pretty significantly that following year. As we get into fiscal year 23, 24, and 25, we actually performed a compensation adjustment and moved many of our golf course employees up in our pay grades, and they received salary adjustments. The entire city did. So that is the reason behind that. Okay. I would like to point out in fiscal year 22, you'll see a pretty big drop in personnel, and that is solely because at that time we were receiving government monies from COVID, and we were able to utilize those monies to offset personnel costs at the golf course and other divisions. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, absolutely, thank you.
You're welcome.
A lot of good data. Thank you. Where would we go to start getting those, and this may not be your question, but where do we go to start getting those breakdowns of expenditures? Parks and Rec Director Mearsman?
Correct. I can certainly take that back to him if that's something the commission is interested in seeing, some of the expenses on that activity report.
Because all you're getting is daily totals, monthly totals. You're just seeing the pot of money as it's turned in from the golf course, and you're counting it in your reconciliation as this is money from the golf course, wherever the source was.
So we have the breakdown, meaning finance has the breakdown of everything. We have the breakdown of all of the expenses as well, every single check that goes out, everything that's made, we see everything. But as far as the activity reports and what the costs of some of those activity reports are and the purpose behind them, that would be a golf course question or a Director Mearsman question to bring back to you.
Yeah, you've got it broke down good on here, and then that's the way that you're tracking it as part of the finance responsibility is, this came in as a private trail fee, this came in as a greens fee, this came in as a driving, you're tracking that.
Correct.
Okay. Any other questions?
I just, maybe I missed it, or I need a clarification. With the 25-year estimation, does that include the raised prices for the, for annual and actual
Green fees?
green fees?
Commissioner O'Connor, thank you for your question. It does not. Fiscal year 25 ends on June 30th this year. July 1st is when the new rates will go into effect. Those will be fiscal year 26 estimates, which are not included
Okay.
on any of these worksheets. Good question. Thank you.
What you got, anything? Hey, 1,000, thank you.
Yes, thank you very much.
Are you free to like take an email if we're not violating any law and if we have a rando question for you?
Chairman
I mean,
Dale.
I don't want to get you in any trouble, but I'm saying if I had a specific question that you were allowed to answer, would you be okay with that?
Chairman Dale, I am a public servant of the city, so certainly anything that you need to ask or you want to ask that you're comfortable asking me, by all means, shoot me an email, give me a phone call, and I'm open to answering any questions that you might have.
Then can you reciprocate back with us and just say if it's something I can't answer, you'll direct us to who can?
Absolutely.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Excellent presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Cart fleet update?
Is that on here?
Where's Mike?
Fleet card update.
Stronger glasses, I think. Ladies, gentlemen. Okay, here we go. Just to touch base, in case y'all didn't know, this is my last week here. I was offered and accepted a head golf professional position in East Texas. So I'll be leaving in about a week, okay?
Appreciate you, Sam, and all your efforts while you were here. The
Thank
kids are
you.
gonna miss you.
Thank you, appreciate that. I'll miss this place as well. So, Pat and Mike visited Valley Vista. It looks like on May 1st, carts were inspected and found to be the Trojan batteries and not the lithium batteries. Information was gathered on the fair market value lease and the Yamaha contact. They were denied test driving the cars. I personally have had bad luck with Yamahas, but I've heard they're doing a lot better job than they used to, for whatever that's worth. All three major kart dealers offer this option: Club Car, Easy Go, Yamaha. Fair market lease would give us the option to turn carts every 4 years. Trade-in value for the fleet is determined when the lease is renewing. No way to predict the trade-in value. Lease payment can go up or down every 4 years, so it's difficult to budget for. Current leases have to be approved by finance, city manager, council. Could be difficult to gain approval during the lease turnover. Easy Go is a little bit more expensive than Club Car. They're about the same price, I think. Lithium carts are roughly $41 more per cart per month than both Club Car and Easy Go. Price differences regardless of lease type selected. Oops, went too far, sorry. New electric service to the cart facility from the north of the clubhouse. Transformer upgrades would be needed. Could be very costly. Haven't received the bid. Existing building and interior electrical would need to be expanded and updated for the chargers. Existing fueling station would have to be removed as well. The fueling station and spill containment's already in place. Cart facility wouldn't have to be updated. Wouldn't have to charge the carts between loops or as often as opposed with gas. Leadership's team's recommendations: stick with the current plan to replace the 2022 fleet with 2026 gas carts, include the GPS lids already in the 26 budget, 26 through 30 budget for council approval. Possibly reevaluate next cart replacement cycle. Cleaning maintenance, they're supposed to be cleaned every day. Unfortunately, they're not. I realize that. I got a pretty good staff out there. I have one, maybe two that needs a little extra work. I'm talking personnel now. Routine maintenance performed when fueled, oil level check, air filter check, safe operations. Annual maintenance performed every winter by maintenance team. Any questions?
Let's start on that page and go backwards. Again, back to what I was talking to Director Moline about. Annual maintenance performed every winter. What's that cost? Do we know?
I don't know. I would assume it's just labor. It's by our golf course mechanic.
What is the cost of the GPS lids?
Don't hold me to this, but I believe it's $33 a month per cart. Does that sound right, Tina? That's within $2 or $3.
All right. When was the last time you did a damage report on a cart?
Oh, maybe a month ago.
It's getting worse. Would you agree?
Yes.
I don't think that we need to be Nazis at the golf course. I think we're there for fun, but the carts are junk. They're getting trashed more and more. Cowls missing, roof hardware gone. Club cleaners being swapped out with ones from home carts that aren't even the club car brand.
I'm sorry, what was that?
The ball washers.
Oh,
They're getting very ingenious with the damage that they're doing. Wine corks in the club or the ball washers.
yeah.
These are 22 carts. They're junk. We're going to stick with club car?
I'm not sure. First of all, a short answer is this. I think we got a lemon batch of carts. Okay. I've had club car in the past. I've had good luck with them. I've had easy goes in the past. Traditionally, club car is a mechanically sounder cart than easy go. I'm just talking over the past 25 years. The previous job I had, we had electric club cars, and they were good. But, these not so much.
You're on the same forums I am of golf equipment and everything else. Club car doesn't make the top 5. For made in America or assembled in America, E-Z-Go, Yamaha, club car is 6. You buy garbage, you get garbage. We're getting garbage results. What we're doing is not sustainable. That's the end result. I hate to beat you up on your last week, Sam.
No, don't worry.
They're junk. And how long are we going to blame COVID?
I'm sorry?
How long are we going to blame COVID? They're 22, 23 carts.
Yeah.
All right. Something I found in my report that I did back in 15, 14, there are grants available for anything electric. There are grants available from Unisource. Who's pursuing grants from the golf course? And this might be a director question. You can defer.
That would be a director question.
Okay. The argument that things are going up also applies to maintenance, parts, service, time, salary, right?
Yep.
So that's a weak argument. Bottom line is, I don't have a dog in the fight. I'm trying to get a nice product on the field, because what you've got out there right now is unacceptable. And I have a nice cart. I just got the permission to put my cart on your course, and so that's what I did. But I'm saying, for those that don't have a voice, that are asking us to be their voice, we've got to do something different, and to continue down the path we are is, you know, the definition of insanity. Keep doing what you're doing, expect a different outcome. Any other questions?
Sam, I just got really quick, have the carts been approved yet, or is this still in like consideration and all that? Because I know like the new budget and all that.
I'm
got
not sure.
approved, So, okay.
Yeah.
I read something where it was going through, wasn't it?
I thought it was, but I'm not 100% sure.
Thanks for the question, Commissioner. So the budget, so it was included in the budget request sent to council in May. Council recommended the tentative budget just last Tuesday night, and they will ultimately approve the final budget on June 24th. If there are no changes at that time, then the budget will go into effect on July 1st, and I know that the team will start looking to replace the carts. That probably, I know it's a priority, so they will be looking to do that the beginning of the summer.
Are we doing, are you talking a total fleet replacement, or are you doing the 20 at a time?
No, total fleet replacement is my understanding.
Do you know the cost of that off the top of your head?
I don't. And I believe they're looking for 90 carts as well. We currently have 70.
Do you know what that budget line item was? Sorry about that.
Just pull your seat up.
You don't need to apologize. I'll stay up here until we're done with the costs of things. But what is currently being proposed and what will likely be recommended is 90 carts. And we have budgeted, we will be financing them over a 5-year term. And the annual payment for those, we've budgeted at just around, I want to say $80,000. We have also budgeted for GPS to be installed on those at an additional cost.
But the way they're doing it is a monthly payment on that 80,000?
Annual $80,000 payment
annual
for
80.
90 carts. I believe it's just I want to say it's just about $350,000 over the course of the 5 years is what we end up paying principal, and then now we'll be paying interest with the payments.
Questions why we have her not running back to her seat?
If there are, I don't mind coming back up.
Thank you for that.
Sam, on these new carts, are they looking to like geofence certain areas on the course as well, or
I'm sorry, what was that?
are they looking to geofence like some of the areas on the cart?
I'm not sure what that is.
Prevent people from going into like the ravine?
Yeah,
and-
so the GPS lids or canopies on the carts, the pro shop will be able to schedule the carts, like if it goes into a designated area, it'll just completely shut down. And something will come across the screen, you know, you're in a designated area, please back up, and then it'll start beeping and piss the golfer off, and he'll back up going 3 miles an hour.
So those are able to go around each green then too, right? To
Yeah.
prevent them from driving up by this, okay.
Yeah.
Which was originally, historically, that was recommended, and instead we got curbing. Prior to Sam's time, he can't be held liable for that. Any other questions on carts? Did you make the site visit to Val Vista?
No,
Who did?
Mike and Pat, I believe.
And they wouldn't let Pat drive one? Wow,
Apparently not.
harsh.
Guess his history.
Harsh. Here would be my other guidance, whoever prepared that. If you go somewhere, they don't let you drive your car, don't put it in the report.
Yeah, that's probably good advice.
For my commission members, the historical data that was just given by Director Moline, if you look at 19, understanding 19 was probably a 6-month snapshot, and you go to 24, look at the revenue disparity between private cart trail fees, $15,000. So that would tell you there, in my opinion, even go to the 41,000, it would tell you that the private carts are on the rise there based on the experience we're having with the club cars. With her admittedly saying we have not had a trail fee increase since 2018. That's just sheer amount of carts raising that number. Correct? Would you agree?
Yes.
That should be the snapshot of how people are satisfied with their carts. All right, are we done there? Yeah. Let's move on. Thank you, Sam.
I think I'm up here for this, right? Next. Course, charge increase. Is it on here? All right, so it was approved for a rate increase. Basically, it's a 20% increase on daily fees for non-residents or for everyone, however you want to look at it, and a 10% discount for residents. And then a 10% increase on all season passes. No differentiated between resident and non-resident on season passes. Any questions on that?
Just a comment. You guys from the city had the microphone for more than 2 hours at the last meeting and no one bothered to mention that. I find that wildly untransparent.
Okay.
Let's move on to item number D, the golf course superintendent's bi-monthly report. Thank you to whoever prepared this fee table. Was that you, Director Moline? That was in our packet?
It was, and thank you so much. If I can just go back on the fees themselves, we actually put a notice in all of the utility bills about the water fees, the solid waste fees, and then our general fees such as golf course and other fees that were going to be considered at the May 20th council meeting. So I apologize if some of you might not have gotten that, but it was included in all of your utility bills that those were going to be reviewed and where you could find all of the information, Chairman.
I appreciate that. Those of
Okay.
us that are watching the council meetings and are involved with our council members and that, we all knew it was coming, the shoe was gonna drop, we all knew. We were patiently biting our tongues saying, someone's gonna mention that and be ready for this. And again, let us be your missionaries,
Right.
go out there and, right? Before it becomes the brouhaha it becomes, we can go out and put down a lot of fires before they get out of control.
Appreciate your help. Thank you.
Carry on, Alex.
Okay, I've got a golf course superintendent report. Spring aerification, these are just some pictures of the process on our course greens. Most important cultural practice we perform. They're double verticut, solid deep tine to 11 inches with a 1/2 inch core pulled. Cores are harvested for later use. Peat moss applied to localized dry spots. Top dressing applied. The sand is then drug and blown into the open holes. It's watered, fertilized, and the pin placed back on the green and open for play. Here's just a few pictures of the process. Okay, golf course fairways. Double cut ahead of verification. Compost applied with a 1/2-inch core pulled. Cores drug out and blown into rows. Cores processed. Excess thatch blown into rust for mulching. Certified perennial ryegrass seed applied after. Herbicide application applied 2 weeks after. Golf course tees. Double cut ahead of verification. A 1/2-inch core pulled. The cores are thatched with a heavy-duty unit. Excess thatch is then blown into rust for mulching. Certified perennial ryegrass seed applied. Fertilized for quick growing, and an herbicide application applied 2 weeks after as well. And this is a picture of a before and after of the new approach on hole number 16, right in front of the green. Okay, this is West Coast Arborist. They came out and did an audit on all the golf course trees. Right here in the bottom right-hand corner, it'll tell you the type of tree, if it's diseased or the health is declining. And a little legend on the left right there shows across the golf course what was recommended for removal, not only by the West Coast Arborist, but by the golf course consultant. And declining or diseased trees in the purple and the green, West Coast Arborist identified 11. Remaining trees after that would be 397, not including the 150 new saplings to the nursery. Okay, there's a new ball machine door. Final stages have been completed. Right now it is operational. It's got a credit card reader on it and an easier way to access and get tokens. New tree farm, 150 saplings planted for future use. 18 back to desert area, all sod pulled and left to compost. Several strategic trees and plants placed, more to come along with large rocks. Century plants pulled from 5 and added to 18. Additional desert low water use plants planned. And under that, we have a blip of irrigation issues since the last report. Roughly 123 feet of piping replaced, varying from 1.25 inches to 8 inches in size. 3 new 2-inch electric valves installed, 1 new valve kit installed. 22 sprinklers replaced, 15 repaired, and 3 new isolation valves put on. And again, we just want to thank the maintenance crew for keeping up with the course duties while being shorthanded. Any questions?
Thank you for that. Yeah, I have a few. Can you do a rake inventory and replace rakes as you see them damaged?
Bunker rakes, correct?
Yeah, the rakes and the traps.
Yes.
There are many that are damaged beyond repair. Something I noticed on the Italian cypress behind the green on 4, you've got decorative landscape rock in there. Mowers come through there, you can see where they've thrown rocks onto the green. Cannot be good for the equipment. Can you talk to Pat about removing that rock and putting in mulch?
I could definitely bring that back to him.
Water spigot in the cart barn needs attention. It is spinning freely.
Okay.
I noticed the guy in there trying to put water in the bucket. Last meeting, we talked to Pat about leveling the new tee box on number 2. Did that get accomplished?
It did. It got re-leveled, raked out, sand added, and seed as well. With more than once, we're going over there and leveling with a 2x4, making sure it stays leveled. Any deer tracks are raked out.
Good. And Pat mentioned also he would look at the one on 7.
Yes.
The new box on 7.
Yes.
So same procedure, both places, just from here over to there.
Correct.
Excellent. Well, I want to talk to Pat about the revenue tallies on the weekly report. I want to get to the bottom of what these carts are costing to repair and keep them going. But if we're getting new carts, if tentatively they are budgeted for replacement, maybe we can initiate something where at that time should be a warranty item for at least 5 years, right? So we may be able to get away from that. Nobody has heard from Chavin Concepts. Oh, I do have some water questions. I brought this up at the Water Sustainability Task Force meeting last month. Brought it up to Rob. You may not know this, Sam, you may not. Did anybody from ADOT get a hold of you guys regarding mitigating the water that's coming off that freeway?
Not to my knowledge.
And they did not either with Public Works, and Rob brought that up kind of through the county channels because Scott Holdry and those guys are in the water sustainability based on their involvement in the aquifer study, the INA. Based on the INA, there is a ton of grant money out there. Now that INA is established, you know what an INA is? Irrigation non-expansionary, okay, for our aquifer. Based on that, it changed a lot of the plan for I-11 and what they had to do to that road and everything else, okay. Part of that as well now is mitigating the water that's basically coming all the way from Clack Canyon down to 12, 4, 5, right? You're gonna get it all. You can see the diversion tunnels when you drive by.
Yeah.
Where that water's gonna go. There is gonna be a privacy wall, correct?
Yes, I believe so.
All the way down,
Yes.
5 to 14.
Yeah, it should be 5 Ts all the way down to 14, yes.
Okay. Do you know if the 2 holes on the east side of the restroom below 5, do they have dry wells in them?
Not to my knowledge. That's something that I could get the information on and bring back.
So the only dry well that we know that we have right now on the course is on 9.
Yes, between 9 and 11.
The one was scheduled for 12 and 15, or 12 and 14, between 12T and 14, right? 14 T-box. Okay, so I tell you that to tell you this. Rob lost the driller for the dry wells. He, because of the end of the year, took that money and absorbed it into another project. It is something that we need to stay on pat about and look at the diversion plan of where that water is gonna go. Make sure that that privacy wall is indeed gonna stop that water, that we don't end up with a flood out. So to your knowledge right now, those holes on that side of that bathroom on that empty lot are merely water retention. Just stop big runoff.
Yeah, between 4 and 5 and 12 and 13, the 2 big retention areas.
Yes. Behind the restroom there, like if you were going from 12 green to 5 green on that. And that, the
Correct.
city owns that property, correct? Okay. So we need to do something more on the dry well to get that back on the Public Works radar for anything that we could hope to draw off of there that we could get back into the aquifer. The way that ADOT explained it to Rob, cities must reach out to counties, counties must reach out to the state. That it's not the other way around. So ADOT, in their opinion, ended their discourse with the city after they held a public meeting for opinion, right? They did their studies, environmental studies, animal studies, they did all that for I-11. If the city doesn't reach out to the county is not gonna reach out to the state, and the state is in no way gonna reach back out after the commenting period. There is a ton of grant money out there right now for water. Please let Pat be aware of that. Do you know if you have a grant writer in the city right this minute like they do in the county? Do you? Okay. Boy, Pat needs to like pull up a chair because you have water issues there. The irrigation study could have been paid for. The agronomy report tied to tree roots in your water could have been paid for. That would have been an expense we would not have had to forego as golfers, right? I'm sorry you're the guy that got to come to this meeting and hear this, but it got the message got to get back. I've talked to Pat a little bit about this informally. This needs to be on the record. Grants have got to be obtained. The money is there, dying to be given away. We're going hard on grants. That's how we got the INA. That's how we're doing all the monitoring and metering of all the aquifer. They're from Golden Valley, they're past the airport. We're doing all of that. That's all on grant money. And our new city manager is a grant master. Agree. So, you want some points with Tim, get a grant. Any other questions for him? Sorry to take up your time.
I'll talk about the aerification, mainly on the greens. Last handful of years, I've noticed we're just doing like one top dressing with the sand after the aerification. All the other courses I'm hearing or any other, golf-related personnel elsewhere, like they do it 2 to 3 times after each aerification process. Is that something we can start looking into to doing? Because that's our biggest concern as Surbat is unlevelness of everything. And most importantly on the greens.
So that's definitely something that we are looking into. Just a light top dressing program, whether it be bi-weekly, monthly, something to just carry forward.
Okay. I heard this weekend that I guess we already have in the budget, like a top dressing machine to where that's gonna make that a little bit easier and economical for us?
Yeah, it definitely would. It would help aid in that a lot.
Okay. I guess, another thing related to the greens, over the last handful of years, I've started playing golf again. I've noticed that before the big tournaments season come, notably the big shuffler tournament coming up, the greens are always struggling a little bit coming into it because the aerification's still kind of, unlevelness is kind of growing itself out. Seems like every Thursday or Friday before that big tournament, you guys go and cut them super low, roll them, and we get it to where greens start rolling pretty good for that weekend for the big money tournament. Last year, none of that got done. They were still furry, super bouncy, got a lot of complaints about it. Is that something we can look into doing this summer with all these big tournaments starting to come up to where we can cut them nice and low again like we used to?
Definitely, we do have one of our green mowers right now. We do have cutting pretty good. Sometimes the blades do dull out, and
Yeah.
then the equipment is really not beneficial. But right now, yes.
Okay, thanks.
I have one to add. I noticed still on some of the fairways, the bad spots aren't being addressed. Are you gonna be working, certain sections at a time? There's stuff that's roped off, it's nicely coming in, but there's still some bad spots on fairways.
So currently, we are slit seeding, and after we slit seed, we do an irrigation audit as well, make sure that area is getting the water that is needed. After the irrigation audit, we are roping a lot of these areas to keep car traffic out of it. We're currently going through the whole course right now for the slit seeding and doing the irrigation audit behind it.
Okay.
I'd like to add something on the roping. A lot of the spots that you have roped off, I think it looks good, except for you have it open in the front. It's just like kind of like a little V. Now, personally, I thought common sense, don't drive in there. Well, this weekend in the big tournament, one of the groups I was playing with, all golfers in the group, I've seen him playing all the tournaments, pulls right around and comes through it, and I'm standing there and I had to literally go and call him out. I'm like, dude, are you serious? Like one of my friends, and he kind of looks around, didn't really notice it. So if we could just spend the extra 5 cents for that rope, finish each of those things off, that'd be great.
Oh, definitely.
All right.
And as you know, that was in the study, the agronomy report. A lot of ballots and ropes.
First of all, I have a question, but first of all, the golf course does look noticeably better to me than it did a few months ago, so good work on that, what you're doing out there. I did have a question. Anecdotally, a lot of the golfers that golf at Surbat a lot were kind of disappointed about the tree on 18 being removed. I understand the thought process behind it. Is there plan to plant another one there, though?
Right now, not to my knowledge, but that's something that I could bring back to Pat, and we could definitely discuss.
Just adds to the character and the challenge of the whole.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Thank you.
Speaking of playing this weekend, I really enjoyed the variety of the tee boxes from the tournament this weekend. Is that something you guys are looking to do more on a regular basis, or kind of play around with them, give the common spots of the tee boxes a little break?
That's definitely what we're trying to carry forward.
And if I can interject, a lot of those tee box placements are done by the people that are running those individual tournaments, so.
Trying to break it up.
I have one question on hole 8, the egress, ingress on that sandy dirt hill going up to the green. Is there anything you can make it safer?
So right now with our aerification cores, we do try to place them there and grow them in so it's not that slick, sandy surface. It's something we could definitely get some ryegrass seed, some bluegrass seed, put down, rope off, and then once it's grown in, it'll be a lot safer.
It's just a matter of walking through it, so what are you gonna have to help you and me at the same time?
So again, with growing in the grass, or we can kind of deter away from that for a growing period, and we could get the whole turnaround cleaned up. And so that's definitely a trip hazard right there, and we want to try to prevent that any way we can.
Okay.
And this is kind of for you, but kind of for Sam too. It's you in the maintenance end of it. We're currently out of compliance on hole 14 with ADA. So what you find is the people are coming off of the green on 13. They're coming off the cart path on 13, parking right in front of the green, in between the traps. Then from there, flipping a U-ey and heading the back side, right, avoiding all the curbing to get to the 14 green. According to ADA, there should be a 48-inch opening in any barrier every 75 yards. 14 is completely curbed. I haven't really noticed anywhere else. I think 8's questionable. It can be reached from the back. I think that, I don't know what the standard is for issuing a blue flag. It's out of control. Every round, we're noticing more and more folks driving on fringes. That cannot help your mission at all. So Sam, kind of be ready to talk about how they're requesting an ADA flag from you at the time of check-in. Kind of bring that up to Pat and see what you can do about it. I had the statute on it. He can find it, Google it. ADA golf courses, Casey Martin. It's easy to find.
Okay.
Any other questions? No. All right, let's do the golf professional bi-monthly.
Okay, it's been our tournament season. We've had a lot of tournaments out here. Had the Jet Trayan tournament this past weekend, won by the gentleman there in the blue shirt, Sandbagger. And we got the big tournament coming up, the 21st, 22nd, I believe. We've had the Bighorn tournament, search and rescue. So just our big tournament season, and golf season for that matter, before it gets too hot. The junior golf has started last Wednesday. It's on Wednesday and Fridays. It's going pretty good. Ty's taking charge of that. We got the City League every Friday night. If y'all want to play in that, come on out. It starts at 5. We're having to cut it off. It's, we're getting between 40 and 44 players. So we're maxing out 9 holes there. That's about it. I mean, any specific questions?
On your monthly activity report, those are dollar amounts, correct?
Yes.
The Wednesday to Friday City League changeover seemed to be successful.
Yeah, so far so good. People like it on Fridays, I guess, because they don't have to work the next day.
Are you going to recommend that goes forward in your absence?
Oh, yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Any other questions for Sam? Oh, I do want to hear, if I want a special parking permit, I have to provide some things to the state, right?
Yeah.
What's the requirement at the golf course?
The requirement for the golf course is that we've been very lenient. I mean, if someone wants a flag, unless, they're doing jumping jacks, walking through the door, we're going to give them a flag. Now, that being said, even the people with the flags, it's being abused. Brendan pointed out, I don't know which tournament was that. It was recently. These guys were parked on the back of 9 green, so I went and talked to them. Hey, guys, come on. And some guy said, well, I forgot to get my flag. And then there was a 30-year-old lady in her own cart that was parked back there too, So what's your excuse? So going forward, we can have requirements, show us a placard or show us something, if that's where you want to go. But yeah, it's, it gets abused.
I don't think we need to get Nazi about it, but a guy comes in there wearing a walking boot, he's just under surgical repair. Yeah, give him a blue flag.
Yeah.
But yeah, the 30-year-old able-bodied person that's ruining your approaches and your fringes, that, it just
Yeah.
seems excessive. That comes back to marshals. Where are we at on marshals?
Yeah, so we're waiting on approved budget for paid marshals. I think it's going through July 1st. Right now, we have two marshals getting ready. We had three, one left. I'm getting ready to lose another one because he's going into the pro shop. So that basically leaves us with one volunteer. And hopefully in a couple of weeks, we'll have a couple of paid.
I mean, once you get authorization, it's just the beginning of the hiring process.
Correct.
So realistic, you're looking at August-ish.
Well, I think I got one because I had one of the guys I lost in the pro shop is, it's long story short, is got to take care of his mother-in-law. That's why he had to leave. But he, with his wife coming home from work, he would be able to do some marshaling, so I could probably bring him on pretty quick. But other than that, you are correct.
I'd like to be involved in that process to help write the job description I would like the commission to be involved in that with what their actual rights and responsibilities are as a marshal, where you're gonna get support, where you're not,
Yeah.
right? And I think the key across the board, Sam, is gonna be equal marshaling,
I'm sorry?
equal marshaling.
Yeah.
One guy goes out and does his job and the other two are slackers, human behavior is gonna take you back to the slacker, right?
Yeah, and making sure he gets backed, He sees someone doing something stupid on the golf course and we remove him from the golf course.
Right.
Is that going to be good? Is it going to be final? Or is he going to be, go to someone he knows and that guy goes to someone he knows and that guy goes to the city manager and the city manager calls Mike Mearsman and Mike Mearsman, and then nothing's done. So that's a big issue out of it too.
Oh, I agree with that. I heard all of that. Yep.
Hey, Sam, real quick, on
Yeah.
the Friday night, City League, what time are they teeing off? So-
5.
At 5, so, this is more at a personal level, the Friday the 20th for that skin round, are we good?
I don't think we're not having it that particular day.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
'Cause
because of that.
I'd be willing to cut that off at 3 o'clock or whatever we needed to accommodate you
Yeah,
guys.
we're not having it that day because of the
Okay.
skins, yeah.
Okay.
Share that your ADA thoughts with your guys that are remaining and
Okay.
just, like I said, if they're,
I mean,
there are
I'm
gonna
with
be
you.
guys that aren't gonna be recognized by the state of having a placard, but if, they've had some surgery or incidental injury, then yeah, but just issuing the blue flag doesn't give them carte blanche to, reach out of the cart to grab their ball from the cup, because
Yeah.
that's
I
almost
got
what's
you.
happening.
Yeah. I mean, how many people abuse the ADA, the placard at the grocery store? I mean, it's done all the time. So, yeah, it's no different here.
Well, it sounds like the new GPS helmet or whatever we're getting on the carts, supposedly, sounds like we can kind of dial that back with we can give them a different allotment.
I
with
would
the ADA.
assume, Sean, I'm not sure exactly how it works, but I assume either that or you can program something in the computer that gives that particular cart access closer.
Yeah, and we should be able to give them 10 feet or whatever, rather than the customary whatever it is for
Right,
a
it
normal
should be
golfer, right?
whatever it is, 15
Exactly.
feet instead of.
Yeah, at least make them to where they can't go in the bunkers,
Right.
can't go on the fringe, can't go in the areas.
And
that
a
need
lot of
the,
them are abusing that,
Oh,
I
yeah.
got a blue flag, I can drive 3 inches from the green.
No, I've seen them drive right along the fringe in
Yeah,
between
oh, yeah.
between bunkers, like pretty much on the
Yeah.
green. So yeah.
You're on target, because Laughlin Ranch, if you go in and say, yes, I'm under a disability, it's plugged right in and they can control it from the keypad, the cash register, to plug cart number 33 for a handicap, and then you're given that 10, 15 feet cushion
Right.
where the other guy can't leave the cart in, on, or around the green, right?
Right,
So it's all, that's well overdue technology for,
yeah,
I like it.
should be good.
you're right over target, good question. Anything else for Sam? Thank you, Sam. Historical rounds report, you gonna do that?
Yeah, I think so. From what limitations I have, I don't have all the access Tina does, and my G1 was acting up. So I only have several.
Was there supposed to be a add-on sheet to the packet for historical rounds?
I'm not sure.
Okay, I didn't get one,
Not-
that's why I'm
not getting
asking.
it.
Okay. It's, it's been reasonably flat. It's gone up a little bit this year. I think we'll do right around 37,000 rounds. Last year, I don't have 2022s. Last year, we did 35,000 rounds or thereabouts. As of May 15th, we're at 32,559 rounds.
Using the FY, not calendar, correct?
I'm sorry?
You're using the FY, not the calendar.
Correct, FY. And then if you add on what we did last year, we're on pace to do about 37,000 rounds this year.
Give me 2020.
I don't have those numbers. I was only able to go back to 2023 with the operating system I have.
What were 2023 and 2024
We're about 35,000.
for both years?
Yeah.
Okay.
I wanted to see the COVID hump.
Yeah, I got you. I mean, I guess you could look at the financials, the revenue that Tina showed you. We haven't gone up on the rates. I mean, yeah, we hadn't gone up on the rates.
It was substantially more, I did look at that. And you could see the definite drop off as well,
Yeah,
once the Vegas and opened back up.
yeah.
It was a pretty good snapshot. Any other questions for Sam on historical rounds, present rounds?
Got you, thanks.
Who's doing the staff report on the carts?
Sam's back.
Sorry, I'm not trying to bug out just yet. So, I didn't know this till not long ago, but for a long time, you couldn't have a personal cart that was not this older. You could not be brought in if it was older than our current fleet. Did I say that right? I think I did. Okay. Unless you were grandfathered in, okay? So,
And I hate to interrupt you, but you could not provide that in writing. So anything that you had on that policy was actual hearsay. You have it in writing. Okay.
okay,
I'm not to interject. Not to interject, but I did a lot of work with this. I worked with Sam and Mike and Keith, but yes, I've got a copy of that. But anyways,
It
Okay.
should be provided it should have been provided to Sam.
yes, but that's old news. So looking forward, Sam, go ahead.
okay. So, the reason for that, I was told, was at some point in time prior to when I got here, we would only buy 20 carts at a time. So they didn't, in other words, we might have a 2012, a 2016, and a 2020 model. And so they wanted it to be the most current model. Now that they're all the same year, they decided to give it a 10-year window between whatever the carts are. So basically, that's it.
The reason I'm interested in the policy you say you have is I want to know when it changed. And that was the question that you asked me I understand it to be this, but I didn't know when it changed.
Yeah, I don't know.
Do you know that answer?
So the change that was implemented was initially adopted by, the way I understand it, and the way I read it, was adopted by the council. Change was then subsequently made at department head level. And in my interactions, and it was well-received, and interacting with Sam and Mike and with Keith, was that it was made at department head level, and it could be changed back at department head level based on some of the concerns that were being brought to us and that they were seeing as well. And so, you know, I showed a number of carts that were in our community that wouldn't fit the model, and I showed some of the carts that we're currently golfing out of and said, which one of these carts do you want to play golf in? And to a person, everybody said, well, I'd rather play one of those, and those carts aren't permitted. And so I think it was well-received, and I think that sensibly, everybody said, yeah, and this when this policy was changed, was under a different city manager and under a different regime, and it was, they were willing to change it back. And so they made the change back, and they've, I believe it was 2 Mondays ago, had revised that rule so that it would be up to the 10 years from the oldest cart in the fleet. And so I think that's more than fair. If you have a cart that's fits the criteria like I do right now, and as long as you pay your trail fee, then your cart continues to be grandfathered in. And so when people say that's the grandfathered in piece, that's the small piece that's grandfathered in, is that you're current in your payment and current in your duties to be a member. So I think that
Appreciate your efforts on that, by the way.
I think it's a win-win. I think the
Well,
golfing
I-
community will be happy. I think it makes it easy for Tim, makes it easy for Mike.
I don't think the city should be in the business of turning down revenue. I just don't think it should be.
I got you.
And all we were trying to do is hand you money, so. All right, anybody got any other questions on private cart policy?
Okay.
Thank you, Sam.
Thank you, Sam.
Any comments by the commissioners, announcements, set up a meeting date?
I'd like to interject, if I can go first, Chairman Dale, and I'd just like to tell Sam I do appreciate it. I've had the pleasure of working with Sam on a number of tournaments. The biggest one we operate up is coming up in a couple weeks. It's unfortunate he's leaving right before that. He'll have to pay some other way, I suppose, but Sam's been a pleasure to work with at the golf course when we've tried to do some of these tournaments, and always receptive to the ideas of moving tee boxes and different pin placements and things of that nature. So I just wanted to applaud him and let him know that his efforts are well appreciated, and I thank him.
Sam, do you have any idea when the course is going to be rated? Any news on that?
Yes, I talked to the Arizona Golf Association maybe a month ago, and my voice isn't loud enough. My wife was
I think it's for the recording purposes. We want you recorded, Sam.
the Arizona Golf, spoke with the Arizona Golf Association about a month ago, and because we need new scorecards, I didn't want to order scorecards if I was going to get the course re-rated. They were supposed to do it last year, and for some reason they couldn't. So anyway, to answer your question, they said it would be between August and November of this year.
For sure?
Well, that's what they told me, so don't call me in Texas. saying,
We're trying to hold Sam accountable, and he's leaving next week. Okay, go back. You're saying you're in need of scorecards now?
Well, I ordered some because it's going to be, August to November, so we'll get some in a week or so. We'll be okay scorecard-wise.
How many at what cost?
So it was 5,000 scorecards for $800 or 10,000 scorecards for $900, so I ordered the 10,000 scorecards. Anyway, my plan was to get the course re-rated and have combo tees on there too, black, gold, gold, silver, copper, because I know Vicky was saying the course can't be official for ladies tournaments unless it's X amount of yardage.
You
So,
taking notes, Alex? You got to share that with Pat.
you
And
know,
if it's not rated that way, they will not print a scorecard that way, so that's got to be done.
so anyway, I think it would be a good idea to have combo tees on the scorecards.
Anything else? Meeting date?
Well, Wednesday.
Yeah, Wednesday now.
So I have a problem on that Wednesday, correct? Wednesday.
time?
With the date. And so I'm wondering if we want to move it a week up or move it 1 week later. I'll be out of town and I want to be at the meeting. Can you give me the date on that, Donna? I'm sorry.
August 13th.
It would be August 13th?
The second Wednesday of the month is August
Okay, what's the first Wednesday of the month?
6th.
We're in town for the 6th. Okay, can we move the meeting to the 6th?
That's better for me too. I'm gone 12th and 13th, I believe.
So it would work for
August.
you to
Yeah.
move it to the 6th as well.
Yeah.
Appreciate that. Commissioner Page,
Yeah, that's fine.
you good?
As long as there's no conflicts with the room.
And Sherry can send us out an email on that if there is, and then Mike can do some sort of survey to get us back on the calendar, right? But
Yes.
for now, will you tentatively schedule us for 1 PM on the 6th,
1 PM.
right?
Okay.
That's what we decided on. Oh, man.
I know, it sounds like there's gonna be a conflict on that day, so, but what we can do is reach out to you and provide some different dates other than the week of the 12th and see what works for you
Well,
guys.
then, while you're there and have a calendar, then what about Tuesday?
I don't have a calendar, I'm
Okay.
getting messages from our city, we're getting messages from our city clerk letting us know that, so I don't have it in front of me.
Yeah.
We'll just send you some possible
Yeah, different options would be
dates.
great. We can
You
get
got
all-
it. Yep,
Back on.
we can do that.
Any other business? Motion to adjourn? Have a motion? Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion is meeting is adjourned. Thank you, folks. Hey, thank you, Sam. Appreciate you. Enjoy. Happy trails.